All right, Christian Boy Podcast, I'm sorry. I am very, very sorry. For the past 2 weeks, I've been doing stuff. Last week, I was in Zambia. And last week, I was editing the video from Zambia. So if you want to watch that video about what I was doing in Zambia, I went with my church. So if you want to watch that video, it's down in the description below. But yeah, I was in Zambia. So I messed up. I didn't record the episode and have it posted. It's been 2 weeks and I apologize. Probably 3. It's been about 3 weeks. And I apologize for that. But today we're going to be in Exodus chapter 26. And in this chapter there's 37 verses. And it's mostly talking about instructions for the tabernacle. We're going to talk about a lot of 6 foot by 42 foot sheets and why they're connected and how they're going to work out. So yeah, that's what we're going to see in this chapter. It's mostly instructions for the tabernacle. Also, don't forget to share this episode with somebody, like this episode, and yeah, share it with somebody if you are encouraged by it. All right, let's get right into it on the Christian Boy Podcast. Our memory verse for the week comes from Psalm 46, verse 11. It says, Yahweh of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold. Selah. You are to construct the tabernacle itself with 10 curtains. You must make them of finely spun linen and blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, with a design of cherubim worked into them. The length of each curtain should be 42 feet, and the width of each curtain 6 feet. All the curtains are to have the same measurements. 5 of the curtains should be joined together, and the other 5 curtains joined together. Make loops of blue yarn on the edge of the last curtain in the first set, and do the same on the edge of the outermost curtain on the second set. Make 50 loops on the one curtain and make 50 loops on the edge of the curtain in the second set, so that the loops line up together. Also make 50 gold clasps to join the curtains together with the clasp, so the tabernacle may be a single unit. You are to make curtains of goat hair for a tent over the tabernacle. You are to make 11 of these curtains. The length of each curtain should be 45 feet, and the width of each curtain should be 6 feet. All 11 curtains are to have the same measurement. Join 5 of the curtains by themselves and the other 6 curtains by themselves. Then fold the 6th curtain double at the front of the tent. Make 50 loops on the edge of the curtain and the outermost in this first set, and make 50 loops on the edge of the corresponding curtain of the second set. Make 50 bronze clasps. Put the clasps through the loops and join the tent together so that it is a single unit. As for the flap that is left over from the tent curtains, the leftover half curtain is to hang down over the back of the tabernacle. The half yard on one side and the half on the yard on the other. Of what is left over along the length of the tent curtains should be hanging down over the sides of the tabernacle on either side to cover it. Make a covering for the tent from ram skin dyed red, and a covering of manatee skins on top of that. You are to make upright planks of acacia wood for the tabernacle. The length of each plank is to be 15 feet, and the width of each plank 27 inches. Each plank must be connected together with 2 tinions. Do the same for all the planks of the tabernacle. Make the planks for the tabernacle as follows: 20 planks for the south side, and make 40 silver bases under the 20 planks. 2 bases under the first plank for its 2 tinions, and 2 bases under the next plank for its 2 tinions. 20 planks for the second side of the tabernacle, the north side, along with 50 silver bases, with 2 bases under the first plank and 2 bases under each plank. Make 6 planks for the west side of the tabernacle. Make 2 additional planks for the 2 back corners of the tabernacle. They are to be paired at the bottom and joined together at the top in a single ring. So it should be for both of them. They will serve as the 2 corners. There are to be 8 planks with their silver bases, 16 bases, 2 bases under the first plank and 2 bases under each plank. You are to make 5 crossbars of acacia wood for the planks on one side of the tabernacle, 5 crossbars for the planks on the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 crossbars for the planks of the back side of the tabernacle on the west. The central crossbar is to run through the middle of the planks from one end to the other. Then overlay the planks with gold and make their rings of gold as the holders for the crossbars. Also overlay the crossbars with gold. You are to set up the tabernacle according to the plan for it that you have been shown on the mountain. You are to make a veil of purple, blue, and scarlet yarn, and finely spun linen with a design of cherubim worked into it. Hang it on 4 gold-plated posts of acacia wood, and have gold hooks and that stand of 4 on 4 silver bases. Hang the veil under the clasp and bring the ark of the testimony behind the veil, so the veil will make a separation for you between the holy place and the most holy place. Put the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony and in the most holy place. Place the table outside the veil and the lampstand on the south side of the tabernacle opposite the table. Put the table on the north side. For the entrance to the tent, you are to make a screen embroidered with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely spun linen. Make 5 posts of acacia wood for the screen and overlay them with gold. Their hooks are to be gold, and you are to cast 5 bronze bases for them. So yeah, this chapter is mostly instructions for how to build the tabernacle. And notice the detail in these instructions. You know, God could have just said, you know what, make a tent that's about this long, this wide, and then put a curtain up in between this part and this part, and that's it. But no, God goes into detail about how he would want the tent to be made, to the length of everything, what the curtains should be made out of, what colors the curtains should be, and everything, how it's supposed to look. And that's something that we should note, that God is a detail-oriented guy. He doesn't just want you to just do stuff just to do it. He wants you to do it in proper fashion and order. Because imagine, you know, he could have just said, make a tent, make a tent. Hey, Moses, guys, make a tent to worship me in. But the significance of the tabernacle is that it is a tent designed by God to be a worship place for the Israelites. Interesting thing about the tabernacle is this is going to be their place of worship for hundreds of years until Solomon finally builds the temple. And then that temple's not even there for very long. It's only like a few hundred years. They're going to go longer without an official, quote unquote, official temple than they are going to have one. But the tabernacle is going to be around for a very long time. It's like years, hundreds of years. It's going to be around for a very long time. And this attention to detail is going to ensure that it stays, first off, stays usable. Of course, you're going to always have damage on things. Things get damaged after normal wear and tear happens to things. But this is going to make sure the tent stays usable for a long length of time. And with the double tent, the covering made of goat skin to prevent weather damage and things of that sort, then you know the inner tent is not going to get as much damage. The tabernacle is taken with them everywhere they go. They're going to worship God wherever they go, and they're going to take the tabernacle with them. And so, yeah, God is a detail-oriented God. If, you know, sure, he may not give you all the details at once, but God wants you to do things detailed and structured. He doesn't want you to just go and do something without any structure to it or without any actually thought put into it. Like, he would never tell you to go feed the homeless and you're just out here just throwing food to people and like, here, you take this, here, you take this. He's going to make sure that you do things properly. Make sure you wrap these things properly. Have a game plan when you're going out. Know the location you're going to. So yeah, details are important to God, and we can see that in this chapter. The importance of details. We also see the veil put in place to separate the holy place from the holies of holies. The veil made of scarlet, purple, and blue yarn is what we see. And we know in the New Testament, the veil is torn. The most holies of holies becomes a part of where we can go into. But as for now, it's separated. Only Priests wearing special garments and, a bell with a rope tied to their waist can go in the holies of holies once a year. And the reason for the tied of the waist, because if you go into the holies of holies without actually being cleansed of sin, you would die instantly. There's actually a good story, a good part of the Bible where David goes into the most holies of holies to ask God what he should do. And that's another story for another day. Does he survive? We'll find out. I'm kidding. You can go look and find out where it is. I'm going to put where it is somewhere right here. It's somewhere over here. Yeah, that's where you can find it. Okay, so yeah, this is what I like about this chapter. All the details that we see. Because sometimes you can skip over details, and some people will be like, you know what, you don't need to read this scripture with that much attention focused on it. But as you can see, the temple is built with all this gold and all this detail and structure. And he's like, remember these things so that when you build the tabernacle, I think it's in the first chapter. He's like, you got to build hold on, let me get the right part. Yeah, he said you are to make it. These are the instructions for the tabernacle. You are to construct it, design cherubim on there, and all of this different stuff. So God is detail oriented when it comes to things of the kingdom. And so if you're doing anything for the kingdom, make sure you have your details in order. Of course, there is spontaneity and there are things that you would do and it's spontaneous, but that does not delay the fact that you should be prepared to put things into order and have detail to them. So if you say you're going to feed the homeless, make sure you have things in order. When am I going to feed them? When am I going to go? Where am I going to be at? You're not just going to say, hey guys, we're going to go feed the homeless and I don't know, you'll find me in the city somewhere possibly. No, you're going to have your location and everything set up for you. So yeah, God is detail oriented. So remember the details that he gives you and do the things that he calls you to do. That's one thing I see in this chapter. Also, you're thinking to yourself, I'm thinking to myself, actually, all these details that Moses is going to have to remember. Later on in the book of Exodus, God's going to say that he has somebody who's going to help do all these things with Moses and the Israelites, that he already has somebody who he's helping to visualize these things for him so that he can do it. So when God's giving you details and things to do, don't be afraid like, oh no, I'm not going to remember all of this. Write down what you can, remember what you can. And when it's time for those things to happen and those things to be revealed, they will happen when they're supposed to happen. So yeah, this has been Exodus chapter 26 on the Christian Boy Podcast. If you like this episode, like it, share it, let other people know that the Christian Boy Podcast is here. And God bless you. Continue to strive for what God has for you in your life. And I pray that you are blessed. God bless.